This episode contains adult language. If you have little ones around, you may want to put on your headphones.
Hello and welcome to the Theorem podcast. This is your host, Aspasia, and I'm here to shed light on alternative contemporary knowledge and suggest feasible ways it can be incorporated into our lives. The podcast today is about infertility and almost all that it entails. Join me as I explore extraordinary human experiences. My guest today is Chantal Bruijsten, a holistic fertility coach and therapist. With a background in hospitality management and two master's and a doctorate degrees, Chantal found herself at 27 ready to have a baby. She discontinued her contraceptive pills, but her period and fertility were nowhere to be seen. For over a decade, she went through a rough but rich journey trying to mend her menstrual cycle and heal her infertility. Today, a mom of three, Chantal helps women tackle their infertility in a holistic way that embraces every aspect of a woman's existence. Welcome, dear Chantal, and thank you for joining me at Theorem.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So let's jump in.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Um, well, we are here to talk about infertility, but I'll ask you first about fertility. I've witnessed stories of my clients, of my friends, as my fertility story.
Hmm.
And I realized time and time again that what makes us fertile is a lot more than being healthy and in the middle of our cycle. It has to do with being attuned, it has to do with feeling ready and confident and at ease. And that's all in spite of our age, day and cycle, and possible medical or physical barriers. So, what is your take on this?
Getting pregnant has to do with so many different things. Um, there's a physical part, and of course, that also has to do then with your cycle. But it's not just that. It has an emotional part. Emotionally, you have to be ready, or you are not ready emotionally, but you decided maybe even before you were born that you needed this
Hmm.
for some reason, that you wanted to experience this. There's a mental part, and there's even a spiritual part, that things sometimes have to be like that, and then it happens, or it doesn't happen. Well, you do think you are super ready, and you do have sex at the exact right time, and you do everything right, and then still it doesn't happen, and that also has a reason. But there's not one reason. Normally there are many different reasons. So there are many different reasons for infertility. There are also many different reasons for fertility, and it has a physical aspect, but also an emotional, a mental, a spiritual, an energetic aspect as well. So yeah, these are my thoughts about it. There's so many different things which have an influence on it.
My personal experience with fertility is that I became pregnant to my daughter, having had sex, unprotected sex, once the day I was expecting my period.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. But also my first pregnancy was kind of a miracle. We tried for 6 years, and but in these 6 years I didn't have a menstrual cycle. Went through the whole medical procedures, stopped with that, then we went for adoption, but I worked on getting my period back because my body wasn't in balance, and I also had that wish to be able to be pregnant, besides wanting to adopt. And in those years I had maybe two three, I think three times, a very light bleeding, possibly an ovulation, I don't know. And then we adopted our oldest daughter. 2 months later, I was pregnant without having any period or ovulation in the meanwhile. So, medically speaking, there was 0% chance. But it had to be like this. So, yeah, Sarah, my oldest daughter, she had to come first. And probably they also wanted to be close to each other. Like in the relationship between my two daughters, that's a really nice but also complicated relationship sometimes. But they help each other with a lot of things in life. So this had to be like this. This is not. it wasn't just a physical thing. It was a spiritual, maybe even agreement. What was made?
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I get that you're saying that, like like with your pregnancy, that it's
Yeah.
physically
Yeah.
speaking, it wouldn't be possible.
Yes. And yes, sometimes it's meant to be. I don't know. But I don't know. It sounds fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Um, well, um, infertility is defined as not being able to conceive or get pregnant after 1 year of unprotected sex.
Yeah.
But 48 million couples and 186 million individuals are faced with infertility.
Yeah.
Your journey with infertility has been long and bumpy. What are your biggest lessons?
The biggest lesson was, which I'm still learning actually, is letting go of control. Like I taught myself that if I work really hard for something, I will achieve it. I will gain it. And that's how it went with my whole life until then. Like if I wanted something, I worked hard for it and I got that. And so I was, well, quite successful in different things, but then I wanted to get pregnant. And and in those years I tried so many things. And they did bring me a lot, but I learned, like, okay, but there was no control. I think if I wouldn't have done anything, I wouldn't have had those few cycles, ovulations. So then, probably physically speaking, I really wouldn't be able to get pregnant for my second daughter. But working hard was not enough, and so there's no control. And well, the whole in your whole life, actually, you don't have control over anything. We have the illusion we have control. And I still have this illusion sometimes with my kids, but they are teaching me that I don't have any control. So that was my biggest lesson, that there's no control. Although you can do your best, you can work hard, and it does help, there's no control. That was the biggest lesson. And then other lessons, during this period, I worked a lot with my inner self. So I went from being a secure woman about my job and my work, but insecure about me as a person. I went to a person who loves herself. I now can say I'm happy with who I am. I love myself. Um, I feel home inside, and that I wouldn't have achieved if I didn't have those 6 years um, before I got my children. So that was the second biggest
Wow.
lesson, I think. Yeah,
Yes.
like
Finding yourself through losing yourself.
exactly. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And then, well, another lesson is that I shouldn't have too many trust in the Western medical world. um, Before I had all the trust in the world in any doctor, like a lot of people have, and then through the journey, I learned that I should question everything. And it's not like you should never go to a doctor. It's not like that. You can use their knowledge and their help when you need it. But I question everything. I learned to question everything to be able to know if it would work for me, if I want to do something. So that's another important lesson which I'm still using.
Hmm. And where did questioning lead you? Where did it take you?
It took me to trusting my gut feeling that going through medical procedures to be able to get pregnant wasn't didn't fit with me. So I
Hmm.
stopped in the hospital. It led me there. Um, um, that I could keep having faith in that it would work out, that I would be, because I we went for for adoption, but I kept believing that I would get pregnant one day.
Hmm.
But doctors were telling me that it's not possible unless I would induce ovulations. But it didn't feel like that, so I listened to them, but then I went to myself again, and I felt, okay, no, I can't trust that. One day I will get pregnant. I don't know how, but it will happen. So I went through I took the road which fit with me. So that's what it taught me as well. And then later with my kids, it helped me a lot. But um, if I would have listened to the doctors, my kids would have had many antibiotic. How do you say that?
Antibiotics, yes.
Had antibiotics for several small things, and I just refused and waited or did something else naturally, and always it worked out, and they're happy, healthy, happy, healthy kids without that antibiotics. So that's where it helps me with my kids and
Hmm.
myself as well.
Wow. Uh, allowing yourself to lose control and also losing yourself and then finding yourself and also giving up on your trust to Western medicine and well, having the balls to do it, really. All of these are, in my opinion, wonderful takeaways
Yeah,
from this
yeah, they
journey.
are. Yeah, they are.
Um, typically, infertility is attributed to lifestyle factors. And someone would possibly assume that what you would answer to my previous question would be some lifestyle factors, such as smoking or excessive alcohol intake or exposure to pollutants and toxins and, too much stress and, being obese, overweight,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
or
yeah.
underweight. So, what are other factors according to your experience?
Well, some of them you already mentioned. Stress is one of the most important factors.
Well, stress has many faces, has many,
Yeah.
it's
Well, it's
so
not
many
about
different things.
short stress, but it is when you have long-term stress, which takes, well, weeks, months, years. That has a huge influence on fertility. And so this doesn't mean that occasionally you stress because you have to hurry up, or that once in a while you have a deadline for your job, but it's the longer stress which continues. And that's is, I don't know, it takes a place in your body, and it's hard to step out, because I see a lot with women who had stress for several years, that long-term stress, and then but they say, well, I'm over that, I'm good. But still, when once they start with the exercises I give them, they feel okay, but it's still there. So even though they are not stressing in their minds anymore, their body is still stressed.
It's used to it.
It's used to stress. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So they have to consciously take steps to step out of that stress, to break it, to break the stress several times a day. And then they feel this, the difference in their body. They feel the actual relaxation. So this is, yeah, this is super important. And but stress can have many phases, like you said. But it's actually about all the different types of stress, as long as it's long-term stress.
Hmm.
And that's basically because your body thinks there's a danger. And when there's a danger, all the energy goes towards protecting yourself. So the fight, flight, freeze mode, that's actually where your body is going to, and it's putting all the energy um, to surviving. And then surviving is always more important than reproduction. So
Of
that's
course.
that's where it goes. And it doesn't mean you, if you have a lot of stress, you cannot get pregnant, but it does have influence. And genetically speaking, some people, with some people, it has more influence than with other people.
Hmm.
So this is one important thing. Um, I heard you mentioning pollution. Well, it's bigger than that. It's this has to do with estrogen dominance. Something I see a lot. Estrogen dominance means that the balance between estrogens and some other hormones like progesterone is not there. The estrogens are big, are in higher, have a higher amount than it should have, um, in relation to progesterone and serotonin and some other hormones. And pollution, but
Excuse
also
me, why is this? Why does a woman have a hormonal imbalance usually?
Why they can get it is, well, it can have different reasons. But one reason is, for example, that in our Western lifestyle, we get a lot of fake estrogens in our body. For example, through the chemicals they put on vegetables and on a lot of other foods. Also, our shampoos, they have our other facial creams, and a lot of things have chemicals in them which are fake estrogens. Also, drinking milk. If you're sensitive to it, well, of course, little cows have to grow very hard. So there are a lot of growth hormones, estrogens in there. So by drinking it, you get them in your body. So this can all cause it, but it depends on how sensitive again you are for this. Like for some people, it's no problem to eat some dairy every day. For other people, it is. So
Hmm.
these can be causes that you have estrogen dominance. Also, taking the pill or the hormonal treatments. It's very difficult, especially for women going through hormonal treatments. They feel that they need it to be able to get pregnant, but at the same time, it's causing that it's more difficult to get pregnant because this is one of the causes also of estrogen dominance. So yeah, those things have impact on it. So that's another a big reason. Other reasons, well as insulin resistance, which you also see a lot. Our Western diet has
Hmm.
a big, very big influence on this. We're eating way too many refined sugars, way too many grains, um, way too many times a day.
Hmm.
So we have to make a lot of times insulin, and at one point your body gets insulin resistant, and I think many people suffer from this even without knowing.
Yes.
A lot. I think more people are suffering from it than more people are not suffering from it.
Yes.
And some people don't
Possibly.
notice it.
Hmm.
Maybe one day, maybe not. But for some people, it has an impact on their fertility.
Yes, and infertility is the tip of this iceberg.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so I'm working on that with people as well. And another thing is digestive system. Um, for many people, the digestive system is not really in balance, and you need a lot of um, how do you say that? Well, the things which are in food, like the the vitamins and minerals. You need a
Hmm.
lot of different vitamins and minerals to be able to have a healthy pregnancy. But if you're not digesting your food the right way, your body is not using the vitamins and the
Yep.
minerals. And this starts already in your mouth with chewing. We're all eating, well, many people are eating way too fast
Hmm.
and with a lot, not quite calm enough. But then it goes to your stomach, it goes to your intestines, and especially in the intestines, with many people, it's not working properly. Before I was mentioning antibiotics, I'm I'm not against it because sometimes it can be a lifesaver, but if you're taking it while it's not absolutely necessary, I mean, it ruins your intestines. It takes 3 years before your body recovers from that, before your intestinal flora is good again.
Hmm.
So this also has an impact. So these are
Hmm.
the physical um, co-causes I see a lot, and many times it's a mixture of one or more.
Hmm.
Um,
And may I
yeah,
add something here?
yeah,
Uh, Before you mentioned how when we are in flight or fight mode,
yeah,
our body protects us by not becoming pregnant in
exactly.
order for
Yeah,
us to survive. And the same holds for when we're malnourished for whatever reason. Our body does not allow us to
exactly.
become pregnant
Yeah,
because
yeah,
our body wants us to survive.
exactly.
So,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
can the body support another human being if it cannot support
yeah,
us
yeah.
really well?
Yeah, but again, the interesting part here is that this is not this doesn't apply for everybody because there are also people living on McDonald's and still get pregnant.
Yes, I know.
And but it's not like this theory is not right. This theory is right, but it doesn't apply to everybody. And getting pregnant is not just a physical thing. Where we started this whole conversation with. So yeah,
Yes, so what else is it?
it's also a mental thing. If, for example, a woman is trying to get pregnant for years and years, and she doesn't dare to hope anymore, she's actually every time she might be pregnant, she's telling herself, "No, probably I'm not," because she's afraid for the disappointment. Your mind is super. strong. Your mind and body are connected. So if you every time you don't allow yourself to believe in it, you have a bigger chance that it won't that it won't happen. So, and it's not like I think that I will be pregnant, so I will be pregnant, but your mind does have an impact, the same as your body has an impact. So it's also that emotionally, if you're a lot of times sad and depressed and stressed and angry and frustrated, all these thoughts, they give stress, which is has a bad influence on your fertility. But also, well, I don't know, imagine you're a baby and you want to be at a certain place. Where do you want to be? At
Yes.
this place where there's a lot of, well, negative feelings, or at a place where a lot of positive feelings. And this is easier said than done. It's not like you switch a button and you're happy, especially not when you're in a fertility process for years. I mean, this is killing you. This is making that you are not. It's difficult to be happy, but you can teach yourself to live again despite going through all this, and be happy again despite going through all this. And that helps as well.
Let me read a couple of statistics on this, how
Ah,
infertility impacts our psychological
yeah,
condition. 41 of infertile women have depression, and
yeah.
87 of infertile women have anxiety. And this is from BMC Women's
87.
Health.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So, wow, it's something very hard for women to
Yeah, it
go through.
is. Yeah, and it's also not. I mean, it's not like with pointing with our finger. You should not be depressed and you should not have anxiety, because it doesn't work like that. But it is a chance to work on that, because it's coming from somewhere.
Hmm.
And most of the time, it's not just the fertility process. Most of the times, it's something deeper, that that it triggers something from before. And if you can heal that, then the whole fertility procedure will be easier as well.
Wow. So, um, is this at the end of the day, I mean, working on infertility, all about achieving optimum health and wellness?
That depends on what you see, what you think optimal wealth and health
I mean,
is.
to deal with issues that are, underlying, and, you will not confront them unless they cause some kind of, difficulty in your life,
Yeah,
such as
yeah,
this.
yeah, for some definitely, yeah. Maybe not for everybody, but for many people it is. Yeah, that it's meant to be that first you're resolving several things, and you're not resolving them when you're not pushed to do it, and then well, because of this infertility, you have to go through it. Yeah, and then it's optimal health is then not just the physical health, but also the mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic health.
Of
Yeah,
course, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
But again, it's not like this for everybody.
of
You know what
course,
I'm
it's not for
saying? Because
everybody.
what I believe is that you come to this life with some kind of plan.
Hmm.
And for many of us, the plan is to learn some, not lesson, to experience some things, and to go through certain things, and um, to remember who you really are. And then definitely infertility is um, a jumping point to start this journey. For me, it was. But maybe you had the plan just to live, and that's it.
Hmm.
That's also possible. And
Of
then
course.
it's maybe, and but then you probably won't be attracted to everything I'm telling anyway. Then so then it's not that. Yeah.
I have a friend who says, um, "Όλα γίνονται όπως πρέπει," which means, everything happens as it should.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it takes years before we're able to see why this thing happened
Yeah.
for the best.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And what I'm helping women with is to feel that it's like that while being in there, while being in the middle of it, because that you will see it afterwards for sure. Many women see that. I see that now as well. It had to be like this. It just I needed those 6 years. It had to be like this. But if you can trust that it has to be like this, even though you really don't like it,
Mhm.
and you wanted that baby yesterday, and not in a few years when you had your whole personal growth experience, but when you still can feel that okay, but it is going to be okay. I have to go through this, and it's I can actually decide to enjoy it and to learn from it and to grow by it because of it. You actually speed everything up, which is nice,
Mhm.
but it also makes that you can get more peace in your mind, peace in your body,
Mhm.
um, and well start start feeling okay, feel good, even though you are in this difficult position.
Yeah, so infertility could potentially be seen as an opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I see it. It is an opportunity. Yeah, it is an opportunity to grow and to learn, to expand, to be homing inside in yourself. Yeah,
Wow. And the way I see it, it's also an opportunity to find balance, to learn yourself more,
yeah,
to discover how vast your strength and patience is, and so many
exactly.
other things. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
um so let's talk a bit about IVF. In vitro fertilization is a very costly procedure, anywhere from $5,000 to $80,000, and it takes a toll on a woman's health, and is
Yeah,
also correlated to mm, a kind of more fragile health for the child. IVF children are more frequently admitted to hospitals than non IVF children, according to Human Reproduction. The way I see it is that nature is not permitted, in a way, to do its magic. Not permitted, but yeah, able to do its magic. And in choosing the best sperm, and so by IVF, a forced pregnancy is created. And I know you're not an expert on this, but I know you support women who go through IVF.
yeah.
Um, in order to have more success, and also you also help them with the emotional and mental aspect of this. But what is, in your opinion, about this route that no let me rephrase that.
Hmm.
What is, yes, your opinion about this route versus trying to avoid it? So why would a person choose IVF or not choose it, avoid it, in your opinion?
I think most women choose it because they feel they have no other choice,
Mm-hmm.
and um, yeah, and I would be the last person who judges that because I get it. This desire for a baby is so big, is so huge, and you feel you have no other choice to make that dream come true. So that's why people do it. Avoiding is because you feel that it's taking too much of yourself. That's what's happening to a lot of couples going through IVF, couples or singles. It costs a lot physically, what you were saying mentioning already, but especially emotionally, it takes a lot, and it's a lot of people feel that they're losing themselves.
Hmm.
The hormones are doing a lot of things. The way times going to the hospital, that does a lot. It's like a lot of people say, well, you should let go. Well, letting go of the desire to have a child is practically impossible.
Yep.
But when you're in an IVF procedure, it's not possible at all because it influences every single day. So that's why people avoid it, and especially the ones who are very well connected to themselves and trust their own feelings, they dare to say no. But it's difficult. It's super difficult. But it feels then that you're saying no to the possibility of having a baby,
Yep.
which is not true because I've had several clients which went through IVF for many years, And especially then in the COVID period, a lot of IVF procedures were stopped, and they were in my course, and their procedures were stopped, but they kept working on their health because of the things they learned from me, and then they got pregnant while being in a for 7 years already trying IVF, for example. So it's not that they have to feel that they're not saying no to a pregnancy, they're not saying no to a baby, but they say no to going through an IVF procedure. That's it. But it's hard to make that decision because they're, well, also dealing with all the opinions of other people. There are so many things they can do in the hospital nowadays. For sure, it will work out. So, like, you have to do all those things, otherwise, it won't work out. That's how it feels then. So it's difficult to actually say no and to avoid it. It's maybe even it's not more difficult than going through, but both of them are difficult decisions.
Yes.
Yeah,
And now I'm thinking of hearing, here in Greece, women getting pregnant in their mid 30s and asking, instead of presents, wedding presents, money to save to have an IVF or a cycle or two.
really.
Or yes, and I was
Oh,
like, whoa! So it's like
whoa.
the next step,
Ah,
isn't it shocking?
that's shocking. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm from Holland and I live in Spain, but here I don't experience that. But that's shocking, yeah, because they're already taking in mind that they need IVF. And
Yes.
this is wow, this but it does something with your body, eh? If you're not even believing that you can get pregnant naturally. Well, in your mid 30s, I had my third child when I was 38. Was, and so I have clients over 40 which
Hmm.
conceive naturally. Of course, your statistically your fertility is less over a certain age, but this is just statistics. You're not a number. Nobody's a number.
Yeah. Wow. And
Shocking.
yes.
Yeah,
And
very shocking. Yeah. They should learn. Actually, they should educate women about this. Um, that there are so many things they can do themselves
mhm.
naturally to increase their chances. That IVF is not a normal thing to do. That's a last option. Yeah.
I will also mention something else. Um, it's not an official statistic, but I hear that 90% of all births in Greece are C-sections.
Yeah, I
So,
was just thinking about this. It's the same with the C-section. The C-section is not a normal thing. I've taught hypnobirthing for many years, so I know a lot about natural birth. I birthed both of my kids. Well, my first one was adopted, so no birth, but the two after that were I birthed them naturally at home. Um, so I know quite a lot about it. And then a C-section is a life-saving procedure. It should be like that. That it's if that's the only way to save you and your baby, take it.
of course,
But if you can do it naturally, you should definitely go for that because it has a lot of disadvantages. The same with the IVF. There are disadvantages. If it's the only way, go for it. But if there are other ways, try those as well or before. Yeah,
yep,
yeah, 90%. Wow,
yep.
and that's in Greece or in the whole world.
No, it's in Greece. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not official, but
yeah.
everybody's having a C-section around me.
Crazy. It's it's an operation. Eh? It's a belly operation. It's not nothing. Well, giving birth is not nothing either, but still, that's your body's made to give birth.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's so empowering to
yeah,
allow your body to do what it's meant to do.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is interesting that you're saying that because this is a difficult thing for women trying to conceive because your body is made to be able to have a baby, to be able to reproduce yourself, and then for them it feels that their body is letting them down. And
Yes.
this is something I work on with them to let them connect again with their body, trust
Hmm.
their body again, give their body trust, and feel again this cooperation between them and their bodies. This is something super important, and this is also very empowering. Also, when they get actually pregnant, if they, before they for birthing your baby, for breastfeeding your baby, for being a mom, it's important to connect with your body and to trust your body.
Yes, and I think this is um, the biggest takeaway from this conversation, that yes, trusting the process
Yeah, yeah,
and surrendering to this process,
yeah,
learning from it, and taking the time to look inwards,
yeah,
and yeah, seeing it as an opportunity.
yeah. And then you come also with trusting time. This is one of the
Oh.
things, one of my modules is trusting time, which is difficult,
TikTok,
huh?
TikTok,
TikTok,
TikTok.
TikTok, inside, yeah. And
Oh,
especially the women and 30s, 40s, they almost feel the clock ticking.
oh
But
yes.
it's, but time is not, time is stretchable. Time is flexible. Time is not, we've been taught that time is those 24 hours a day, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, but it's not like that. Time is super flexible, but you have to learn to cooperate with time, to trust time, to let time work for you. And
Ooh.
it's a very valuable lesson. Difficult sometimes. I'm still learning in this, but also super interesting, and it makes your life so much better if you learn to cooperate with time and to trust time and to be as flexible as time actually is. That's in a very interesting, um, I don't know, aspect.
Yeah,
Time, yeah.
I love it. Stretching time. Time is flexible. Love it. Wow. Well, Chantal, thank you so, so much for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you too.
I think that there is so much for our audience to take away from our conversation. And yeah, I really, really appreciate all of your experience and also sharing it with us today.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you for listening to the Theorem podcast. Connect with me on social media at Aspasia Provu and at theorem.podcast and share your thoughts. You may support us on Patreon. Visit the website aspasiaprovu.com/theorem for more. Τα λέμε σύντομα. Meaning talk to you soon in Greek. Aspasia's Theorem podcast does not provide advice, medical or any other kind. It just presents the opinions of its host and guests. If you have any specific problems, please visit your physician or a medical expert for help. Anything said should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, or professional advice, diagnosis, or medical intervention. The episodes of Aspasia's Theorem podcast may, at times, cover sensitive topics, including, but not limited to, mental health, nutrition, health, politics, spirituality, alternative medicine, energy healing, and the use of plant medicines. You're advised to refrain from continuing if you are adversely impacted by any of these topics.